Who am I? It sounds like a simple question, but if you sit with it long enough, something strange begins to happen. The question turns back on itself. It begins to ask you, who is the one asking? Is it the voice in your head, your name, your memories, your job, your body? What if none of those are the real you? What if you've spent your whole life looking into a mirror, believing that the reflection was your true self? The truth is, most of us live and die without ever truly knowing who we are. We wear roles like clothing. We say, I am a mother, I am a student, I am lost, I am strong. But are those things what we are, or just things we experience? Long ago, carved into stone in ancient Greece, were the words, know thyself. It wasn't advice. It was a challenge, a secret door. But here's the twist. To know yourself, you must first look beyond what you've been taught. You must look beneath the surface, past thoughts, feelings, even time. So we begin this journey with one question. Who are you, really? From the moment we're born, we're told who we are. We're given a name, a gender, a culture, a story. We're told what's good, what's bad, what's true, and what's not. Slowly, piece by piece, we build a self, like a mask. We wear so long we forget it's not our real face. But what if this self is an illusion? Think about it. You say, I am happy. Then, an hour later, I am sad. Which one is true? You say, I am this body. But your body changes every year. Cells die and new ones are born. Are you your skin, your brain, your memories? Even science can't find a fixed self. Split-brain experiments show the mind isn't even one thing. People with memory loss lose their whole sense of identity. Yet something inside them is still alive, watching. Spiritual traditions from the East call this illusion Maya, the false world, the dream of who we think we are. The great mistake is believing the mask is real, that we are our past, our pain, our pride. But here's the deeper truth. If everything you believe about yourself can fall apart, what remains? Long before science and psychology, there were those who saw through the illusion. The ancient sages of India called the true self Atman, not the body, not the mind, but pure being. The Taoists spoke of the nameless source behind all things. Mystics in many lands pointed inward and said, you are not just a person, you are a spark of the infinite. These weren't just beliefs, they were discoveries, made in silence, through deep reflection and inner stillness. The Upanishads whispered, you are that. Laozi wrote, the Tao that can be named is not the eternal Tao. Even Jesus said, the kingdom of God is within you. Across cultures and centuries, voices from the past said the same strange thing. You are not what you seem. You are something beyond words, something eternal watching from behind the eyes. These teachings are not maps to follow blindly. They are mirrors, and they all reflect the same mystery. The real you was never lost, only forgotten. Now we arrive at the heart of the mystery. You are not your thoughts. You are the one who notices them. You are not your emotions. You are the space they move through. You are not your past. You are here right now watching. This quiet presence, this awareness is who you truly are. Can you feel it? The stillness that never changes, no matter what happens around you. The part of you that remains even when your whole world falls apart. The great teachers knew this. Ramana Maharshi asked people to keep returning to the question, who am I? Not to find an answer, but to discover what remains when all answers fall away. That silent presence is not far away. It's not hidden. It's what's hearing these words right now, the awareness behind the thoughts, the watcher behind the mask. That is your true self, not a person, not a thing, just this. But now comes the strangest part of all. You are not only the awareness behind your life, you are the awareness behind all life. The mystics say the self and the universe are not two things. The drop of water is not separate from the ocean. The spark is not separate from the fire. You are not in the universe. The universe is in you. Science, too, has begun to whisper this truth. Quantum physics tells us there is no solid world out there, only energy, probabilities, awareness shaping reality. What if the line between me and you is only a thought? What if the world is not something you look at, but something you are? This is the mirror paradox. You are not just the observer. You are the observed. You are not just awareness. You are what awareness is aware of. You are everything and nothing. If our true nature is so vast and powerful, why don't we know it? Why do we live in fear, confusion, and smallness? Some say it's because forgetting is part of the design. The soul enters the world of form. It takes on a body, a story. It plays a game of hide and seek with itself. The Hindus call it Lila, the divine play. Plato said our souls forget when they fall into flesh. Mystics say the forgetting is not a punishment but a path, a sacred sleep that leads to awakening. We forget so we can remember. We fall so we can rise. We get lost so we can find the truth again with new eyes. Even suffering has meaning if it leads us back to the real. And the real is not far. It's closer than your breath, just waiting to be seen. So what happens now? What happens when the illusion fades and the real is seen? You don't vanish. You still live, still breathe, still play your roles. But something changes. You no longer cling to who you thought you were. You no longer fear what comes and goes. You become like the sky, open, steady, untouched by passing storms. You live with awareness, with presence, with truth. You listen more, react less, love deeper. You don't seek to become someone. You simply are. This is not the end of the journey. It's the beginning. The door is open now. The question has led you here. And maybe, just maybe, you are not who you thought you were. You are something far, far greater. What if the person you've always thought you were isn't real? Not in a science fiction way, but in a deeper, more personal way. You have a name, a story, a past. But if you strip all of that away, who is left? Think about it. You've spent your whole life playing a role, reacting to the world, doing what you were taught. But have you ever stopped to ask, who is it that's living this life? We often confuse ourselves with our job, our personality, or our past. But those are just layers, masks. They're not the core of who we are. So let's begin this journey by looking into the mirror and asking, not casually, but with everything in us, who am I, really? Long before we had science and psychology, people were already asking this same question. In ancient India, the sages of the Upanishads said the true self was the Atman, pure, formless awareness. The Buddha said there was no permanent self at all. In Greece, philosophers like Socrates told us, know thyself. In every corner of the world, from Sufi poets to Taoist mystics, the message repeats, there is something deeper in us, beyond thoughts, beyond form. Something that watches quietly. Could it be that we've forgotten something that our ancestors once knew? Something essential? Maybe this question, who am I, is not just personal. Maybe it's the most important question of all time. So why don't we remember who we truly are? It's because the ego has built a wall around us. The ego isn't a bad thing. It's the part of us that keeps us safe, helps us survive, and gives us a sense of identity. But it also traps us. The ego is made of memories, beliefs, and fears. It tells us stories, I am not good enough, or I must prove myself. It creates a false version of who we are. Think about it like this. If your life is a stage, the ego is the actor, but who is watching the play? This is where things start to shift. We realize the self we've been defending might just be a mask, and behind that mask is something else. Something quiet and aware. Have you ever noticed that you can watch your thoughts, you can feel an emotion and say, I am angry? But who is noticing the anger? That quiet part of you that watches everything but says nothing. That's what some call awareness or presence. It doesn't have a name, it doesn't have an age, but it's always there. It was there when you were a child. It's there right now. It's not your voice, your thoughts, or your body. It's the one who notices all of those things. And once you start seeing from that place, everything changes. Life becomes more still, more open. You stop living just from the mind and begin living from something deeper. But here's where it gets tricky. Once we start seeing ourselves as awareness, the ego tries one more trick. It puts on a new mask. Now it says, I am awakened, I am enlightened. But that too is just another identity. Real awakening doesn't make you feel special. It makes you feel humble, quiet, empty in a beautiful way. You don't become someone new. You become no one. Just a peaceful space where life moves through. It's not about adding something, it's about letting go, and that can be the hardest part. Because we've spent so long trying to be someone, but truth lives in the opposite direction. In the stillness, some things can't be said out loud, they can only be felt. Now we come back, not to be who we were, but to live differently. We don't need to figure everything out, we don't need to become someone new. We just need to stay connected to that quiet presence within us. You are not the role you play, not the name you were given. You are the awareness behind it all. So the next time you feel lost or afraid or unsure of who you are, come back to this truth. You are not the story. You are the space the story moves through, and that is enough. Have you ever really stopped to ask, who am I? Not your name, not your job, not the thoughts running through your mind, but something deeper. You've lived with yourself every second of your life, but have you ever met the one who's living it? This question, who am I, is the most important question a human can ask, and yet it's the one we run from the most, because if you go deep enough into this question, you might find that everything you thought you were is just a shadow. Your personality, learned, your beliefs, borrowed, even your emotions. Are they really you? Or just passing clouds in your sky? Right now, you're not being asked to believe anything. You're being asked to look into the mirror that doesn't show your face, but shows your truth. So take a breath. Let go of what you think you are, because this journey will take you beyond names, beyond forms, into the core of your being. People have been asking this question for thousands of years, and here's something strange. Every culture gave a different answer. In ancient Egypt, they said you were a soul judged by gods. In India, they said you were the Atman, a piece of the divine. The Greeks believed in the psyche, the mind or soul inside you. And in the modern West, you're told you are your brain, your thoughts, your memories, but which version is true? Is the self your spirit, your body, your story? It seems the idea of who we are has changed with time, with language, with belief. So what if the self is not a fact, but a story? Think about it. From the time you were born, you were taught who you are. Your parents gave you a name, society gave you roles, school gave you labels, and you accepted them. You started saying, this is me. But what if it wasn't? If every age and culture invented a new self, then maybe we've all just been playing roles in a story no one really understands. So again, we return to the question, who are you, really? When the story ends, let's get quiet for a moment. Don't try to answer with your mind. Instead, watch your mind. Watch your thoughts rise and fall. Watch feelings come and go. Now ask yourself, who is watching all of this? That quiet space behind your thoughts. That's you, not the thoughts, not the voice in your head, but the awareness behind it all. This idea isn't new. In ancient India, sages said, you are not the body, you are not the mind, you are the witness. In Zen, they speak of the one who watches, but cannot be seen. Even today, scientists studying consciousness are baffled. What is this silent observer that can't be found in the brain, but feels more real than anything? It's like being in a movie theater. You see the film, your life, on the screen, but you are not the screen, you are not the characters, you are the one watching it all unfold. This is the first step into real freedom, to realize you are not the noise, You are the stillness underneath. Now we go deeper. Let's talk about the ego, the little voice that says, "This is me." But where did it come from? The ego is built over time. It's made of childhood memories, fears, successes, pain, praise. It's like a mask we put on so often we forget it's a mask. Psychologist Carl Jung called this mask the persona, the face we show the world. But behind that face is something hidden. The ego loves stories. I'm smart, I'm broken, I'm important, I'm worthless. But these are just labels, and labels can trap us. The more we hold on to who we think we are, the harder it becomes to see who we really are. So what happens when the mask starts to crack? It feels scary at first, but under the fear, there's something pure, something silent, something real. The ego is not your enemy. It was built to help you survive. But survival is not the same as awakening. And if you want to wake up, you have to be willing to let the old self fall away. When you take off all the masks, when you stop holding on to labels, something strange happens. You don't feel more sure. You feel empty. There's a silence so deep, it almost feels like falling. This is the void, the space between all definitions, where the question, "Who am I?" echoes and no answer comes. But here's the secret. This silence is not your enemy, it's your doorway. Mystics have always known this. In Zen, they call it mu, the sound of unknowing. In Sufi practice, it's called fana, the dissolving of the self. In Christian mysticism, they called it the cloud of unknowing. To lose what you are not is to find what you are. And what you are is beyond words. This isn't about believing in something, it's about letting go of everything, not to become nothing, but to become open. Open to the truth. That cannot be spoken. And now, from the silence, a new understanding begins to rise, not a belief, not a thought, but a deep knowing. I am, not I am this, not I am that, just I am. This is the core of all ancient wisdom. In the Upanishads, the sages whispered, Tat Tvam Asi, you are that, not the body, not the mind, but the pure awareness in which all things appear. This awareness isn't personal. It doesn't belong to you, it is you, and it's the same in everyone and in everything. The mystics knew it, the poets wrote about it, and now you've tasted it too. You are not a wave, you are the ocean, remembering itself. So, where do we go from here? Not to an answer, but to a new way of being. When you stop clinging to your small self, life begins to flow differently. You stop reacting, you start responding, you stop grasping, you start seeing. When you meet others, you no longer see their masks. You see the same silent being looking back. This isn't about escaping life. It's about living it from a deeper truth. You still play your roles, but now you know. They are just roles, and behind every moment you feel the stillness of the witness, the presence of pure being. So ask yourself one last time, who am I, really? And this time, don't rush to answer. Sit in the silence, feel the mystery, and live from that. Because maybe you're not here to find yourself. Maybe you're here to remember what was never lost. Who are you? Really, who? Not your name, not your job, not the story you've been telling yourself, but the one underneath it all. This question, who am I, is not just a thought, it's a doorway. A crack in the wall we've called reality. People across all times have asked it. In ancient India, the wise ones sat in forests repeating, neti neti, not this, not that. In Greece, Socrates said the unexamined life isn't worth living. In every corner of history, this question appears like a haunting whisper, calling us back to something we've forgotten. And yet, most people spend their whole lives avoiding it. Why? Because once you ask this question deeply, everything starts to change. The roles you play, the beliefs you hold, the way you see yourself, all of it begins to shake. So we begin with a mystery. What if the person you've been all your life here was never you to begin with? From the moment you were born, the world began to tell you who you are. You're a boy. You're a girl. Your name is this. You're from that country. You believe these things, you act this way. Before you even knew how to speak, the world placed labels on you, and little by little you began to believe them. Psychologists call this the persona, the mask we wear to fit in. But what if the mask has become so convincing, we've forgotten it's a mask at all? Your personality, your likes and dislikes, your story, it may feel real. But where did it come from? Parents, culture, school, pain, memory. We live in a world that trains us to act like someone, but rarely do we ask, is that someone really me? Imagine life as a stage. You've been playing a role so long you forgot you're the actor behind it. But here's the truth. If your identity was given to you, it can be questioned. And if it can be questioned, it can be unmade. This search for the real you is not new. Long ago, the wise ones knew that the self we think we are is not our true self. In India, the Upanishads taught Tattvam Asi, you are that, meaning you are not just a person but part of something much bigger, something infinite. In Zen Buddhism, they ask, show me your original face before you were born, not your baby face, your true face, the one behind time and form. Laozi, the ancient Chinese sage, said, knowing others is intelligence,